Hare Krishna. We will try to discuss about Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Sarvabhattacharya, he says that he sings a very beautiful song on Lord Chaitanya, Nava Gauravaram Nava Pushpasaram. So he says that Nava Gauravaram. Then he says in that same verse Nava Hemavaram and Nava Neeta Sucham. So he describes the color of body of Lord Chaitanya, which resembles a freshly churned butter and radiates the brilliance of molten gold. So this divine hue captivates everyone throughout the universe. Now what a color of Lord Gauranga that Sarvabhattacharya speaks of. In general, color conveys mood. We know from our own experience that emotions affects our complexion. When we are angry, we turn red. When we worry, we become pale. White symbolizes separation and death. Red represents passion, anger, and sometimes joy. Orange signifies the spirit of renunciation. Green is the color associated with Lord Ramachandra, symbolizing his role in upholding law and order. Even Islamic fundamentalists, they use the green flags, indicating their intent to establish order. Whether consciously or unconsciously, they have chosen an appropriate color for their spiritual movement. Now, each color has a deeper inner nature and corresponding to a particular mood. Now, Shiva, for instance, appears in red purple form, reflecting a blend of tamas, darkness, and rajas, activity. And when we come to Lord Krishna's complexion, is the color of a storm cloud. It's a deep blue, signifying his connection to water, and it also means ready to shower his mercy. Now, this color is of Madhurya Rasa, the mood of divine love and pleasure. We even observe that when people indulge excessively in pleasure, their complexion darkens. Lord Chaitanya, however, appeared in a golden body. Gauranga describes as Gauravaram or a Hema, means molten gold. Now we'll try to understand what this golden hue represents, what mood it signifies, and why Lord Chaitanya chose this color. The first striking feature of this bhajan, which Sarvabhattacharya, he repeatedly used the word Nava in this. Nava means new. Now Lord Chaitanya brought something entirely new, something unprecedented or unseen before. Nava Gauravaram, Nava Pushpasaram. Now he brought with him a new bhava, new mood, new dance, new smile, new emotion, something never experienced before, something for the sake of preaching. We say that our tradition is the oldest, dating back 5000 years or even millions of years. But here Sarvabhattacharya contradicts this idea. He says, no, everything is new. When people call us neo-Hindu movement, we often get offended. But yet Sarvabhattacharya himself declares, no, we are new. Lord Chaitanya brought something that has never existed before. Now we will try to understand what was truly unique about Lord Chaitanya's advent. After all avatars have come before, like Lord Ramachandra, Krishna, Matsya, Kurma, all the Dashavataras, even Buddha appeared, bringing liberation. Now the scriptures, including the Puranas, describe how souls have attained Vaikuntha. There was always prema, love for God was always, the thing was existing. So then what is that Lord Chaitanya brought? What Chaitanya introduced, it was something very extraordinary. Now some may argue that he simply brought worship of Radha and Krishna. But if you say Nimbarka Sampradaya already practiced Gopi Bhava, worship in the mood of gopis, and it is the oldest Vaishnava Sampradaya. So others may claim that Raganuga Bhakti, the spontaneous devotional service was his gift. But the Vallabh Sampradaya also practices the Pushtimarga, a path of spontaneous love for Krishna, particularly his childhood form, this Bala Krishna form. In Vrindavan, many followers of Vallabha Sampradaya, they chant mantras and worship Krishna in this intimate way. Now, what is so special about then Lord Chaitanya? What did he truly bring, and who is he? Now, the arrival of Lord Chaitanya was prophesied in Srimad Bhagavatam, and it contains several verses, and very famous verses we hear: Krishna Varnam, Tvisha Krishnam, Sango Pangastu Parshadam, Yajne Sankirtana Prajanti Sumedasaha. So this is from Bhagavatam 5th canto 32nd verse. And Mahabharata also we have some, in the Vishnu Sahasranama section we hear the foretell of Vishnu would accept sannyas. Like, however, Vishnu had never previously taken sannyas. So this incarnation is described as Hiranyavarno Hemango Varangas Channanangatihi. So Hiranya, the Hema. Hema is a golden color, so appearing golden complexion. Not only scriptures, the people of India were aware of Lord Chaitanya's coming. His arrival was anticipated even in distant lands also. There is a very fascinating story which involves Christopher Columbus. And Columbus was actually searching for Lord Chaitanya only. His father had studied in Dominican or Franciscan monasteries, where monks who had travelled to India shared a certain legend. According to them, somewhere along the banks of Ganges, there were 9 villages. In the center of these villages stood a golden figure which connected heaven and earth. So they believed whoever found this figure would bring joy to the mankind. So Columbus' father deeply absorbed this legend and passed it to his son. So from childhood, Columbus was told about these 9 villages along the Ganges and the golden figure at the center. So inspired by this, he embarked on his famous voyage seeking India, hoping to find this golden form that would bring divine happiness to the world. Instead, he discovered America, which quite fulfill his mission. In his diary, however, Columbus wrote, "I am going to find this golden figure. I am going to find Lord Chaitanya." Naturally, he imagined it was a massive golden statue, believing it would be the key to universal happiness. Nevertheless, the legend described a living golden figure, one that bridges heaven and earth and grants divine joy. And in an indirect way, Columbus' voyage played a role in making the world aware of Lord Chaitanya, because after 500 years later, from America only, Chaitanya's teachings were brought to the world because of Prabhupada. Thus, the arrival of Lord Chaitanya, we can see, was eagerly anticipated by people. People dreamed of his advent. Columbus set out to find, and yet now that we have found him, we sometimes fail to appreciate or recognize the treasure before us. Now that we will try to discuss what Lord Chaitanya brought with him, what made his mission special. At first glance, the mission of Lord Chaitanya may seem simple. He himself stated that religion of this age consists of 3 elements. First is Jive Daya, that means compassion to living entities. Second is Dame Ruchi, taste for the holy name. Third is Vaishnava Seva, service to the devotees. And it is centered on devotion, chanting the holy name and spreading the love of God. However, these principles were already mentioned in Srimad Bhagavatam. In the 10th canto of Srimad Bhagavatam, there is an episode where Krishna enters into Mathura. So upon his arrival, he encounters a royal laundryman, an important servant of Kamsa. And this laundryman was walking ahead of a procession of workers carrying freshly washed, pure white garments embroidered with gold, prepared for the king. So Krishna approached him and said, "Say, you have such a beautiful clothing, and I am on my way to see the king. I should be dressed appropriately. Would you kindly give me some of these garments?" So this is what Krishna asks. And he says, "Surely I am worthy of this." Krishna also adds that. Now this laundryman, hearing this, became furious, and he says, "Who are you, you foolish cowherd? You are filthy shepherd, get out of way. How dare you ask for the king's garments?" Like that he rebukes. So Krishna, he shied and said, "Okay." Another one like this. Then with just a mere flick of his hand, the laundryman's head rolled to the ground. So this laundryman was previously also laundryman who insulted Mother Sita, because of which Lord Ram has to send Mother Sita to forest. No, he paid for it later. So now after the brief encounter, Krishna changed into the royal clothes and continued on his way until he reached a humble home of a simple flower garland maker named Sudama. Now this Sudama was overjoyed to see Krishna. Now Krishna knocked on his door, and Sudama opened the door and he was so excited. Now Krishna has a way of surprising his devotees. Sometimes he arrives unexpectedly, just as he once actually travelled across India to visit a Brahmana named Srutadeva. He was completely absorbed in worshipping the deities of Krishna, that Acharyas explain that Srutadeva never had an opportunity to travel to Dwarka to see Krishna, because he was so busy with his devotional service. So Krishna himself thought, okay, he will go and meet him. So he made a journey across the provinces such as Kuru, Jangala, until he finally knocked on Srutadeva's door. And Srutadeva was so overwhelmed that he ran outside to welcome Krishna, but then realized that he had nothing to offer. So he rushed to the neighbors, borrowed a mat, and he made Krishna sit along with his followers in his home. In his joy, he didn't add anything, so he wanted to give pleasure. So he took his upper cloth and he waved it and he danced, giving pleasure to he waved in the air and he gave pleasure to Krishna. So overwhelmed with ecstasy. Now similarly, Krishna arrived at the house of Sudama also. He is a flower garland maker. Now, where the garland maker eagerly welcomed him without hesitation, Sudama adored Krishna, Balram and their companions with his finest garlands. Seeing his pure devotion, Krishna was deeply pleased and said, "Okay, ask for any blessings, I will grant you." And now Sudama humbly replied, "See, I don't desire anything material from you. However, if you wish to bless me, then grant me three things." He says, "First, let my devotion be unwavered, achalam bhakti." And then he says, "So that I may remain it is firmly established in my heart." Second blessing is asked as, "Let me always remain in the association of your devotees, bhakti suhridam, so that I never quarrel with them." And third thing he says is, "Let me always have compassion for all living beings, dayaya sarva bhuteshu, so that I desire nothing else." Now hearing this, Krishna was overjoyed. He says, "What a wonderful request." He said, "Tatastu," and so be it. And then he says, "I will grant you along with this, because even though you didn't ask you, in addition I will give you wealth, strength, beauty, longevity and well-being for your entire family." Now this is actually the mission of Lord Chaitanya also. It mirrors these three principles: unwavering devotion, loving association with the devotees, and compassion for all living beings. So Srila Prabhupada, following this mission, also asked Krishna for nothing but the opportunity to fulfill his will. And Prabhupada prays that, "Krishna, make my devotion unshakable. Let me always be surrendered by your devotees, and if there are no devotees, then I will create them." So when he traveled to America, there was no devotees, but soon they appeared. And compassion for all living beings always resided in the heart. So now Krishna responded to Prabhupada's prayer also, "So be it." And but along with that, he is giving so many things to Prabhupada. And we all witness this come pass in these three principles. This is the uniqueness of Lord Chaitanya. So now what distinguishes this from other incarnations? Now we will try to examine the atmosphere in which Lord Chaitanya appeared. So one of the reasons for his arrival was the fervent loud prayers of Advaita Acharya, we say. Now sometimes Lord Chaitanya jokingly blamed Advaita Acharya, saying, "I was sleeping so peacefully in the ocean of milk, but your loud cries penetrated through all the layers of the universe and woke me up. Now I have come. Why did you call me? I would rather go back and sleep." But we know that Advaita Acharya called upon Lord to save the fallen conditioned souls. Now a natural question arises, why couldn't Advaita Acharya save them himself? After all, Advaita Acharya is none other than Mahavishnu, an exalted Brahmana, and he is a scholar in Navadvip. He possessed all mystical powers, yet he stood in the streets of Shantipur crying out, "I cannot do anything with all these people." And people refused to listen to him also. Then he says, "If you do not come, I will take my Sudarshan Chakra and cut off the heads of all." So because there is no other way to save them. Now why was he unable to do alone? Why was Lord Chaitanya's presence necessary? And to understand this, we must first recognize the two main types of people in society during this time. Just as in our modern world, the first group of those who adhere to the traditional religion, we know them, right? Like there are so many orthodox people, the way they dress, the way they have their things. So these are called orthodox. The followers uphold the religious traditions, but often they forget the true purpose of the rituals. So this has always been the case throughout the history. Like when Jesus Christ came also, he arrived in an extremely religious society where religious disputes were constant. So people with long robes argued among themselves. Whether they had actually long robes or it came custom later, we don't know. But that is the what you call Pharisees and scribes engaged in endless debates. The problem with orthodox followers of traditional culture is that they become so consumed by the culture itself that they forgot its true purpose. And we can see the same phenomena. Like in India today also, like there are several homes of such followers, those who fervently promote Indian culture and Sanskrit. For them, Sanskrit not just a language but a religion. They study it, advocate for it, and believe that the social degradation begins when people forget Sanskrit. They insist that everyone should speak Sanskrit, publish textbook on it, and live their lives immersed in it. Now, however, ironically, the books they publish in Sanskrit often focus on political conflicts such as separatist war in Kashmir. So, these people claim to be restoring dharma, yet they have lost the sight of its true purpose. For them, dharma has become merely a set of rituals which they uphold at the cost, even if it means betraying the very essence of dharma itself. Now, we saw the same pattern 2000 years ago when Jesus came to Israel, and when he saw it, like the people were cling to traditions with such intensity that they failed to understand its meaning. Some were even willing to take extreme measures in the name of Christianity or Christ, and forgetting that Christ himself preached mercy and non-violence. But no, instead they say, we will destroy all oppositions, then everyone will come to Christ. So this has always been the case, and we will continue, and it will continue to be. So there is an interesting parable in Jewish tradition, the Talmud they call, and it illustrates this mentality. So Talmud written long before Christ, it recounts a dispute among a group of rabbis, scholars of religious law, who secretly adhere to the who strictly adhere to the religious rituals and regulations, often missing their deeper significance. Now, their debates revolved around a very crucial issue one time, whether a portable stove remains ritually pure after being moved from one place to another. So that was their main question, whether portable stove it will remain pure after being moved from one place to another. Now, one of the rabbis argued that it remained pure, while the others insisted that it becomes impure. Now, he presented every logical argument he could, but no one listened to him. In frustration, this rabbi declared, "Okay, if I am right," he said, let this tree prove it. That's what he said, because in the argument he said, okay, let this tree prove it, whether if I am right or wrong. So immediately what happened? The large tree was uprooted and flew several meters before landing. Now he asked, do you believe me? He asked. But the other rabbis dismissed, no. A tree cannot prove anything. We follow Torah. The law, that is what the Torah says. The tree means nothing for us. Now this rabbi was determined. He said, okay, then let this stream prove my point. There was a stream flowing on. At that moment, the stream reversed its flow. Again the rabbis ignored, saying, no. A stream is not an evidence. We follow the law as it was taught by our forefathers. Whatever is in Torah we will follow. Now frustrated he exclaimed, okay, then let these walls testify my truth. Instantly the walls of the house, they began to collapse. But another rabbi intervened and said, walls, you have no right to interfere when learned scholars are engaged in debate. So the walls stopped in midway from collapsing. Now finally, this rabbi turned to the heaven and cried, okay, let the sky prove my innocence, like whether I am right or wrong. So a voice from the sky, the Akashvani, it proclaims, why do you argue with him? He is right. No, the stove will remain pure. Yet the rabbis remained unmoved. They declared, even the heavens are not an authority over us. We have the Torah and this is our law. Now later on, one rabbi met the prophet Elijah and asked, how did God react to our debate? We were having this debate. How did God react in the heaven about the delay? Elijah replied, when God heard your words, he smiled and said, my children have defeated me also. So this parable illustrates that religious disputes and rigid adherence to tradition have always existed in the society. Society has always been divided between two groups, the regressive fraction that cling to traditions often forgetting its purpose, and the progressive fraction that blindly followed new trends. Now today people imitate America because it is the dominant power. Those who want to appear progressive copy Western lifestyle, going to McDonald's and drinking Pepsi. Meanwhile, those who want to prove their adherence to tradition may drink some milk or some local beverages. Now, during the times of Lord Chaitanya, a similar division existed in the society. The ruling power was the Mughal Empire. So, to appear progressive, one had to learn Persian, dressed in Persian attire and adopt Mughal customs. Meanwhile, the traditionals cling to their old ways, forgetting their true purpose. Amidst this social divide, Advaita Acharya stood crying in the streets of Shantipur. Why? Because people ignored him. Despite being an exalted Brahmana and an incarnation of Mahavishnu, possessing all mystical powers, he found himself powerless to guide people back to the true path. This limitation is explained in the Bhagavad Gita by Krishna only. Why Mahavishnu could not do? Krishna says that he does not interfere in human affairs unless invited. He says, Ye ataman prapadyante tamas tataiva bhajameham mama vartmanu vartante manushya partha sarvashaha. This is Bhagavad Gita 4th chapter 11th shloka. He says, all surrender unto me, I reciprocate with them accordingly. Everyone follow my path in all respects, O son of Partha. And Krishna takes a neutral position as Paramatma, the super soul. He resides in everyone's heart but does not intervene. Now here, nowhere we see that Paramatma breaks the cosmic laws and forcefully preaching to everyone. No. He as a neutral person, he is only Upadrashta Hanumanta. So Advaita Acharya being Mahavishnu is a neutral. He don't interfere in the free will of living entity. He can tell, but they will do whatever they want. That is actually Paramatma. In our heart also, every time the Lord as a Paramatma, he gives some guidance. He tells, do this, this is good, this is not good. But he does not interfere. We will do whatever we want. So that's actually what happens. Many times we get some voice from inside, maybe this is wrong, you can try something else. But we are not interested. So here also we see that, and we see similarly the gopis in the sorrow when Krishna left them, they lamented. And they says that Nakhalu Gopika Nandano Bhavan. No, this is in Bhagavatam, Gopi Gitam. This is, they accuse Krishna saying that you are not truly the son of Yashoda, because Yashoda is kind. If you were son of Yashoda, you would have been kind like her. But you are Antaratmadik. Antaratmadik means you are Paramatma. As a super soul sitting in the hearts and does nothing. You are cruel and you are very detached. Krishna himself does not violate the law. E yataman prapadyante. He reciprocates based on how people approach him. So this is why when he appears as Advaita Acharya, he reminded, he is actually unable to act. So if people sought to him out, he would respond. Like Dhruva Maharaj searched for Krishna, prayed fervently, and Krishna came to him. But when people are not searching for Krishna, Krishna cannot interfere. So Advaita Acharya saw this and he was despaired. He says, no one is looking for me. No one needs me. That's what Advaita Acharya is feeling. I can help them, but they don't want me. I have come here, but no one is asking who am I, why have I come here. He found himself powerless. Thus he called upon Lord Chaitanya to decide. The uniqueness of Lord Chaitanya lies in the fact that he appears in the form of a devotee. So this is the special thing. He is not calling Krishna. he is calling Krishna in a form of devotee. He takes on this Nava Gauravaram, Nava Hemavaram. So, this a new bodily complexion and assumes a mood of a devotee, not for his own benefit, but to preach. Because Krishna does not preach, he does not interfere in the free will of others, but a devotee, he says, yeah, he does not say Yataman prapadyante tamastate vajamham. He say, because Krishna says, as you surrender unto me, I reward accordingly. But if it were to follow his principles strictly, we might say, okay, as people treat us, we will treat them. If they throw cucumbers at me, I will also throw cucumbers back. Eye for an eye, a tooth for a tooth. But a true devotee does not abide to this principle of this type of principle. It does not matter how people treat us, what they say about us, or what they do to us. We continue on our path always, reaching out to them and trying to help them. Like why do there is people say that why do you impose your beliefs on us? So leave us alone. If you want to chant, we will chant. If you want to worship, we will worship. Why you are disturbing us? Let people live their own life. What is this? Why are you insisting? Why can't you just be peaceful? But the devotee cannot remain indifferent. Srila Prabhupada said that devotee is even more merciful than Krishna himself. Krishna declares, Eyataman Prabhupada. If you come to me, I will allow. But the science, it's not actually like that. Now devotee will say, no, I will share it anyway, no matter what you say. This is what Lord Chaitanya descends for. When he comes, he does not speak out to those who are eager to listen to him. Instead, he focuses on those who are not at all interested in him. His concern is how to attract those who are indifferent and opposed to him. So when he sends Nityananda Prabhu and Haridas Thakur to preach in Navadip, he instructed them, go and knock on every door. When Nityananda Prabhu saw Jagai and Madai, he thought, oh, if we can transform them, the glory of our Lord will spread everywhere. So they approached Jagai and Madai, two individuals who the least likely candidates to listen to Krishna's message. They were drunkards, troublemakers, completely lost in their own lives. Yet these strange devotees, Nityananda Prabhu, Haridas Thakur, they approach them saying, what are you doing? How are you living? Why are you wasting your life? Now Advaita Acharya called upon Krishna to appear in this form. He prayed, come in the form of a devotee, come and awaken the people, then I can assist you, then I can serve you. Indeed, Krishna can truly preach only when he assumes the mood of Srimati Radharani. So this, in his original form, Krishna is absorbed in enjoying his own sweetness. His mood is Madhurya Rasa, the mood of divine pleasure. Preaching is not his primary concern. As one devotee poetically expresses it, like spring Vrindavan, Krishna is not thinking about us. He is just in his own Rasa Leela, and this is true Krishna, enjoying his pastimes. But for him to turn his attention towards us, he must assume the mood of Lord Chaitanya, the mood of Srimati Radharani. Now, we are devotees of Srimati Radharani, so we should focus only on one bhajan. But being truly devoted to Srimati Radharani means what? Fulfilling Krishna's desire. And what is Krishna's desire? Krishna wants fallen souls to return to him. He has already stated, Ye yataman prapadyate tamastataya bhajamaham. Thus he appears with the golden complexion of Srimati Radharani, radiating divine love. This golden hue has another meaning, as it illuminates Krishna. Krishna being dark, it often unseen. It is incomprehensible, hidden form. Now, the name Krishna itself means dark, unknowable, beyond understanding. But Srimati Radharani, in her golden form, reveals Krishna. Her radiance makes him visible. When Lord Chaitanya appears in this golden form, he reveals Krishna to the world and gives people access to him. Srila Prabhupada once explained a verse from Sri Guru Ashtakam. He says, Nikunja yono ratikeli siddhai yayali bhi rapikshaniya. In this verse describes how the spiritual master is constantly engaged in arranging pastimes of Radha and Krishna. Now someone asked Srila Prabhupada, does this mean that you are arranging Radha Krishna's pastimes somewhere in the spiritual world? He said, yes, that is what it means. But not just there, here as well. My preaching to people is an extension of these eternal pastimes. So this is the highest and most valuable service. The preaching mission is the mission of Srimati Radharani. Lord Chaitanya appeared in her mood with her compassion to bring people back to Krishna. Only God can save souls, and only a devotee who does not give up despite people's resistance, laziness and ignorance can shake them, wake them up, as the Srimad Bhagavatam 1.1.10 it states, Manda Sumanda Matayo Manda Bhagya Hyopadritaha. So these are the people of Kali Yuga. Now if devotees have not intervened in our life also, where there is no chance that we would have become devotees. So we would have been lost drowning in this material existence. So it is only because of devotees reached out, because they persist, that we are given a chance to return to Lord Chaitanya. And once we turn to him, he saves us. Some may think, my spiritual master saved me, but it is ultimately Lord Chaitanya who saves us, because he has given the command, go and preach, go and tell about Krishna. So share this holy name. Now the one who understands this mood is the best servant of Krishna. So many people have known Lord Chaitanya. Actually many don't know before coming to Krishna ISKCON also, because sometimes we see that some places they are already known also. Like over 200 years ago, 2 centuries ago, in Russia also there was a community of Indian devotees, and there they organized an expedition of archives, and then they found records describing an altar of Indian devotees. The altar has deity of Rama, Lakshmana, Hanuman, Sita and Shatrughna, Bharata, Radha Krishna and various Shaktis, and a sannyasi also, a mendicant. This is Gaur Nitai. So 200 years ago also he was already standing on the altars in some places in Russia. But what does it mean to worship someone? Now important, the true service is not simply offering rituals. It is understanding and fulfilling the desire of one whom we are serving. Just as Sudama, the humble garland maker, knew that Krishna needed, without being told, a true servant anticipate the master's will. Now to serve Lord Chaitanya means to understand his mood. The one who understands his mood serves him best. And this is actually what Prabhupada had, that mood. So he always wanted to give everybody an opportunity. And there was a sannyasi who headed the Mata of Babajis who belonged to Nityananda Parivar. And they usually don't have any sannyasis. He is the only sannyasi and who is leading them. So one of the ISKCON devotee, during his conversation with that devotees, he asked him, "No, how did you come to this life? Why did you take sannyas? Where did you take sannyas from? You are all Babajis in Nityananda Parivar." The sannyasis, then he shared a story. He said, I was a simple student and I had my guru, a great Babaji, who was my predecessor. And when I was a grihastha, an ordinary householder, I tried to serve him as best as I could. Nityananda Parivar is one of the branches, the tree of Lord Chaitanya, coming from Lord Nityananda. So one day he said that my guru called and said, like, this Bhaktivedanta Swami has arrived in Vrindavan. You must go listen to him and ask him what to do. Whatever he tells you, you must go and follow his instruction. And then this sannyasi says, I could not understand why my guru is telling me to go to him. My first thought was, are you testing my loyalty? Why I am supposed to go to somebody else? Why should I listen to someone else when I already have my guru? Who is this Bhaktivedanta Swami and why should I go to him? That's what he asked. He said, no, I will. And he said, I am not going to anywhere. I will stay here and listen to you. You are my guru and I will follow whatever you say. I will not listen to anyone else. But he said, my guru insisted. He said, I am telling you, go there and listen to him. You do not understand anything. This person has received direct empowerment from Lord Nityananda. You must do whatever he tells you, for this is your only salvation. Nothing else will save you. And feeling very uncomfortable, he said, I arrived at Angrezi Mandir, ISKCON. Krishna Balram temple in Vrindavan is called Angrezi Mandir, which the locals call. Now they started calling ISKCON, because it is mostly visited by Westerners, just as they refer Britishers as Angrezi. Like. Now, then he all these Westerner devotees, they so much go to ISKCON only because from all over the world they come. And he went, at that time Srila Prabhupada was giving his darshan in his room, and he said, I tried to get in, but two Westerner devotees were guarding the door and they would not let me go. They saw me as just another local and blocked my path. I was determined, he said, and I tried to push through and pleaded, I am the son of a respected Brajabasi, so please let me in. I want darshan of Srila Prabhupada. And Prabhupada heard the commotion. It was in 1977, so last years of his earthly pastimes. He asked, who is there? The guards replied, some local man, he is causing a disturbance and claiming to be a Brajavasi. We don't want him to trouble you. And Srila Prabhupada said, okay, let him in. Then the sannyasis, I entered into the room. Srila Prabhupada asked me in Hindi, who are you? And I introduced myself, and Srila Prabhupada dismissed all his disciples and he remained alone with him. He says, and he embraced me, and at that moment I felt something incredible. He says, still I remember the feeling. My hair stood on end, a shiver ran through my bones, tears filled my eyes, and something deep within me changed. I fell at my knees and began to cry. Srila Prabhupada lifted me and asked, what do you want? So in a trembling voice I replied, my Guru sent me to here. He told me to listen to you and do whatever you instruct. And Srila Prabhupada looked at me and he said, what is there to think about? Take sannyas and preach all over the world. Or this was the last thing he said I wanted to hear. I stammered, said, but I am a grahastha. Srila Prabhupada calmly responded, that will pass, it happens, don't worry about it. Then he said, I protested, but I am not a preacher. I don't even know how to speak properly. I don't want to interact with people. I just want to live as a Babaji. Why are you asking me to do these things? Then Prabhupada simply said, if you truly want to do good for yourself and others, you must accept sannyas and preach. And then he says, a couple of decades later, I accepted sannyas from one of Prabhupada's disciple only. As there was no sannyasi in their lineage, I began to preach all over the world and eventually became a Mahant, the leader of the temple or the mutt. And he says, looking back, I am so grateful because he saved me. If he had not given me the instruction, I would have wasted my life somehow doing whatever. Now this story shows that sometimes outsider can see things more clearly than we do. So the devotee says that there is sannyasi from Ramanuja Sampradaya. So this sannyasi once approached his Guru and his Guru instructed, go and get a copy of Chaitanya Charitamrita commentaries of Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada. Then the sannyasi says, sannyasi was surprised. Why should I read Chaitanya Charitamrita? That is not even our book only. We don't study such text. It is not our tradition. But his Guru from Sri Vaishnava Sampradaya insisted, just as he said, you do not understand. These books were written by an eternal associate of Krishna, a Nitya Parikara. Anyone who reads them can attain love for God. It does not matter whether it is from our tradition or not. Chaitanya Charitamrita is your only chance. Read Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada's commentaries. You have no other way. And then the sannyasis, since that sannyasis, he started reading Chaitanya Charitamrita every day, even though he belongs to Sri Sampradaya. Again, this shows that sometimes people from outsiders can understand the significance of something better those within us. So this is actually very important. We will and then we will have some more discussions that what are the external reasons, mission of Lord Chaitanya, and then also we will try to discuss the internal reasons. What is the internal reasons why Lord Chaitanya appeared? So all these things we will try to discuss more deeply in our next sessions. Thank you all very much. Hare Krishna.